I was 24 when I started talking to a guy I met on a dating app. His name was Alex. At first, things seemed fine. Our first date was casual, just coffee at a quiet cafe. It lasted less than an hour, but it was enough to see if we have anything in common. He seemed normal enough. Our second date was at a bar. We had some drinks, and it was a fun time, nothing too crazy. But it wasn't until our third date that I started to notice things weren't quite right. We went to a nice restaurant for dinner. He was a little too intense, talking over me, dominating the conversation. He had strong opinions about everything, nothing I said seemed to matter much. The night ended with a quick kiss, which, looking back, didn't feel quite right. But I brushed it off. A couple of weeks later, we went on our fourth and final date. We decided on drinks again, but this time I was already feeling uneasy. I noticed his behavior had shifted, he was getting more touchy-feely, even though I had told him I wasn't a fan of public displays of affection. At one point, he grabbed my arm and tried to kiss me again, which I politely rejected. The more he drank, the more aggressive he became. I made an excuse, said I was tired, and suggested we leave. He wasn't happy about it but eventually agreed. On the way to my car, he asked if we could go back to his place. I said no, that I was too tired and had work the next day. He insisted, trying to persuade me, even offering to drive me to work tomorrow. I was firm, but I didn't like how persistent he was. I walked to my car, hoping the night would end. But it didn't. I started driving home, making sure I was alert, especially since I'd had a couple of drinks. I noticed a car behind me. At first, I thought it was just coincidence. But after a few turns, the car kept following me. It looked like Alex's car. I pulled over and texted him, asking if he was following me. He replied quickly, "Yes, I just want to make sure you get home safe." I called him, but he wouldn't answer. My heart raced. This felt wrong. I didn't feel safe anymore, so I drove to a nearby police station and texted him one last time, telling him to stop. He didn't respond immediately, but I knew I had to get home, so I drove back. When I pulled into my driveway, I noticed something that made my blood run cold: a bouquet of flowers and a note on my doorstep. It was from Alex. The note was an apology, and he asked for a second chance. That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed nonstop with messages, but I ignored them. Hours later, I woke up to a noise downstairs. At first, I thought it was my parents coming home early. But then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate steps coming up the stairs. My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't see anyone, but I could hear them moving around, opening doors, rifling through drawers. I froze. The footsteps got closer, and then my bedroom door slowly creaked open. I held my breath, praying the intruder wouldn't hear my racing heart. I could feel someone standing right outside the bed. My phone was in my hand, but I didn't dare move. I had no idea what they were looking for, but I heard soft muttering, almost like a curse under their breath. Then, everything stopped. The footsteps retreated, and the door shut behind them. I waited for what felt like forever before calling the police. They came quickly, but by the time they searched the house, the person was gone. They found the back door unlocked, which wasn't unusual, but something about the way it had been opened, like someone had carefully climbed through the bushes outside, made it clear this wasn't random. The police couldn't prove it was Alex, but I knew. I knew in my gut. I got a restraining order and moved a few weeks later. I didn't want to feel like I was constantly looking over my shoulder, but the unease never fully left me. Even today, I sometimes wonder if he ever found out where I moved. I can still hear those footsteps in the back of my mind.